welcome and welcome back. I am actually with you today from Chicago, where I finally drove in order to see my dad after so many weeks of staying absolutely sheltered in place. And I drove holding my breath the whole way because I did not want to contract any random germ. So, but here I am, and I also am able to be outside. It's actually quite a beautiful day here in Chicago, and I have always loved seeing other people online who have managed to be outside. And with Rebecca Eagle's help, we're going to try to do this. It's been an interesting process of adjustment and accommodation coming here. Whereas in Cleveland, I took on all of the habits and precautions associated with dealing with this pandemic. I did not associate any of those protocols with being in Chicago. And I've had to adjust both my internal expectations and my external behavior. And this has reminded me that, and perhaps reminds all of us, that this entire experience of pandemic, at one level, at its most positive reading, I think, has been one long lesson in human behavior that will reverberate in our lives for years to come. This week, I found myself thinking about two conversations I had that had interesting turns in them that I did not expect. Both of them were with friends who are dealing with challenging circumstances in their lives, not COVID related, but the presence of the pandemic further complicates their circumstances. I asked one whose attention is very much focused on a loved one, what she is doing for herself. I expected something like binge watching Netflix or doing puzzles or eating ice cream or, something like that. Her response was that she finds crawling into bed with a good book her guilty pleasure. I was struck that she feels it's a guilty pleasure. I think that's just one of life's pleasures, but that was her response. In conversation with another friend who was also facing an excruciatingly difficult process, the loved one, she said at one point, "I've been listening to classical music." She had always enjoyed classical music, but had not sought it out specifically until this particular time of stress and anxiety in her life. I then had the opportunity to be part of a study session of last week's Torah portion. Matot Maseh is its name, in which the establishment of cities of refuge figures prominently. Just a brief word of background as the themes of our tradition continue to resonate in so many ways. With this week's reading, we come to the end of the book of Numbers, and therefore come to the end of the Israelites' 40-year journey of wandering in the wilderness. They are now poised on the banks of the Jordan River, feet away from entering their longed-for destination. As they pause to prepare for their imminent entry, which, as an aside, does not actually happen in the Torah. It has to wait for the next section of the Hebrew Bible in the book of Joshua, who succeeds Moses as their leader. At any rate, God commands Moses to instruct the people to establish cities of refuge upon entering the ancient land of Israel. These are intended to be safe havens for anyone who may have accidentally killed another person. In ancient times, that would have easily aroused the vengeance of a relative in an act of vigilante justice. Understanding this impulse and seeking to create a society based on law, the Torah provides for a place where due process may be conducted and the offender brought to appropriate justice, whatever that might turn out to be. Well, an insight into our ancestors' mindset and aspirations, and something to think about as we ponder injustices in our communities and our country. My purpose in introducing it here is to lift up certain questions that might at first seem obvious, but could perhaps benefit from our close examination for the reality they either do or do not reflect. In other words, we might ask ourselves, who or what do we feel is pursuing us? I'll pause here for a second. These are outside noises. Welcome, but a little intrusive. So who or what do we feel is pursuing us, is threatening us, is making us feel unsafe and or vulnerable? There may be external forces that are creating a sense of unease and danger. There may also be internal pressures that are affecting us and disquieting our spirits. If we can identify the avenger, so to speak, the force that threatens our well-being, might we also be able to identify what might be a place of refuge? For example, where do we go to breathe? To breathe again, or breathe deeply, or release the tension with which we are holding our breath? Might our city of refuge, our Ir Miklat, is the Hebrew phrase, be a good book? Might it be Mozart's clarinet concerto? Might it be a clever YouTube that we all seem to be receiving or finding at regular intervals? Might it be binge watching, as my daughter has said, her favorite junk TV show? My own experience has been I have rediscovered the joy of walking and crave it on a daily basis. In their commentary on this portion, the rabbis talk about widening the roads that lead to the cities of refuge, perceiving that there were obstacles in the way of getting there. So we ask ourselves, once we have determined our safe place, what prevents us from going there? What are the obstacles in our way? Certainly at this time of ongoing uncertainty and anxiety, but at all times, what could help us find places of refuge for our thoughts, our spirits, our souls? Is there a practice that would allow us to reach our own city of refuge? Perhaps for a few moments, we might find refuge here, together, in our practice of just being present in this moment. Let us create a sanctuary of refuge, a sanctuary in time, a place of safety and comfort, of healing and renewal just for us. For these few minutes, for this temporary refuge, we let go of every concern that burdens us, of every relentless anxiety that pursues us and gives us no rest. We let them go now. For now, we leave them at the border of our city of refuge. So let us settle ourselves. Let us find our comfortable position, our posture of meditation. I heard someone say this week. A posture of ease, but of attentiveness. Our feet on the floor, or perhaps we are sitting on the floor. Our hands resting in our laps on the arms of a chair. Let us let go. We could even do a kind of inventory of the tense places in our bodies and release them. The muscles in our face that hold our expressions for the world. The muscles in our necks, our backs, our sit bones, our legs. our ankles, our feet. Let us take a deep breath, and with that deep breath, let go. And let us just concentrate on that simple act of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in a sense of expansiveness, of healing, of fullness, and of breathing out for these moments, every concern, every worry, every anxiety. Let us breathe in a sense of safety. Let us breathe out all the dangers that lurk outside of us and in our ever active, unresting minds. We are all right in this moment. And we breathe that in. And we let that breath fill our bodies from our noses, from our eyes, from the tips of our heads to our very toes. This is our place of refuge. We know it will not last, which allows us to let go of everything that binds us so tightly as we breathe out. We breathe in that sense of ease. That sense of a special moment. Our sanctuary, just for us. When we breathe out what awaits beyond, with the knowledge that it will be there. It will be there. We can let go with the assurance that whatever needs to be there will continue to be there. But we can also breathe in the hope that these few moments might allow us to let go of some of our concerns for longer than right now. But for right now, let us just breathe in deeply the air of freedom. As the moments pass, you can just breathe in and breathe out with similar ease. I heard this week also, or I read, I am not remembering, perhaps you saw it also. Someone articulated, I'm tired of feeling uncertain. I'm tired of this unprecedented time. I want precedent. And my heart just went out to her. I believe it was a woman. So let us breathe in the refuge of this moment and breathe out that uncertainty. Let us breathe in a sense of safety. And breathe out unprecedented. The lesson of the Ir Miklat, the city of refuge, is that the process of healing takes time, space, community, and spirituality. With these elements, we can build sanctuaries wherever we are. So we breathe in that sense of healing. And we breathe in again. And we just notice how the breath feels coming in, how it feels going out. And if other thoughts intrude, we notice and we let them go. Like the light white clouds, we just let them go. We go back to the breath. Because we know that even though we have come to the end of numbers and thus to the end of the Israelites wandering in the wilderness, the journey never ends. We continue to seek that promised land. Wherever we are. But we start with right here, with our own hearts and souls and spirits. Unless we feel safe as individuals, we cannot bring safety to others. I would amend that. I think we can bring safety to others in our orbit, but the ultimate well-being of the entire world depends on the well-being of each of us. That goal, the world being a city of refuge for all, is part of our vision of the promised land. I would share with you the following thought from Dana Folds. Undying, untouched by fire or the storms of life. There is a place inside where stillness and abiding peace reside. You can ride the breath to go there. Let us take a few more breaths to go to that place where stillness and abiding peace reside. Let us inhale that into our depths. And by way of conclusion, I would share this poem by Jacob Ian Allen. What is a safe place? To me, a place where my head rests and my heart feels, where the mask I wear falls away. A place I feel grounded in my chaotic life, where if only for a moment, I feel happy. A place where the smile on my face isn't fake, where I feel a part of something, a family. A place I feel loved when I need it the most, where nothing but me is expected. A place that changes as time passes, where I feel strong but can be weak. This is my safe place. I wish you a week of safety and of finding your safe place at more moments than perhaps before. I look forward to seeing you next time in Cleveland, please God, where we will be